Mickey 17 is out in theaters this weekend, and Robert Pattinson is the main star of that film. And for today's recommendation of the week for Robert Pattinson is a movie I've been wanting to review for a long time, and one I certainly had a good time with. Hey movie buffs, I'm Jack Benner and welcome to my review of Good Time. Good Time is a 2017 crime thriller from A24 directed by Benny and Josh Safdie starring Robert Pattinson. After a bank robbery gone wrong that lands his brother in prison, our main character Connie, played by Robert Pattinson, is worried he won't survive in prison. He then embarks on one strenuous night through New York City to achieve his goal to bail his brother. Before I get into my review, any new viewers coming across my channel for the first time, welcome to my channel. I am Jack Benner. I talk about movies on here. I do movie reviews, both old and new. From time to time, I do some lists on here, either a top 5 or a ranking video. So you like movie content? Like what you see so far? Definitely considering that like and subscribe button for more exciting movie content down the road. I remember when I first watched Good Time in 2020 when it was added on Netflix. I was excited to. It has been on my watch list for the longest time after all the great things I heard about it, and it was a month after I saw Uncut Gems, which blew me away. And when I watched it, I loved it. And now 8 years later, Good Time holds up excellently as a brutal, gritty, intense, and thoroughly engaging crime thriller. And this was the perfect movie to put Benny and Josh Safdie on the map as exciting, stylish, and appealing indie filmmakers, while giving us a knockout performance from Robert Pattinson, and it's one of my favorite films of 2017. First thing I definitely want to give props to, Benny and Josh Safdie knock it out of the park with their ferocious direction here. They do a pretty good job of injecting a gritty style with zoom-ins, long takes, close-ups, and they're all very effective filmmaking techniques to immerse the viewer into this gritty setting, and seeing the crime-ridden parts of New York City felt so brutal, raw, and realistic, and also adding to the realism of how criminals talk with their back and forth, and how they act and behave felt right without being over the top. And this movie also looks fantastic with the cinematography that perfectly captured the grittiness, and there's also awesome color choices that the Safdie Brothers do here. And one aerial shot through a fair, that was one of my favorite shots of the film. And not only that, the story here was highly engaging. How this movie just builds and builds tension in almost every scene. Going through our main character's rough night of obstacles to try to get his brother out of prison. Right from the get-go, the beginning of this movie, 10 out of 10 of how it set everything up. And it also does a fantastic job to show how troubled Nick, played by Benny Safdie, when the film's director, and he plays Robert Pattinson's younger brother in the film who ends up in prison, Connie's love for Nick, and the type of person he is, a thrilling robbery sequence that hooked me, and how dangerous this facility is, and you do want to see why he's like, yeah, he better get him out, and his motives to get his brother out. Everything perfectly established for a gripping thriller, and all of that leading to an intense and exhilarating climax. With this and Uncut Gems, it proves the Safdie Brothers are masters at anxiety-inducing filmmaking that is just heart-pounding and unpredictable. You want to see where the story goes. All the performances here are terrific without a single weak link, and it just shows how excellent the Safdie Brothers are at directing their actors. This was my favorite Robert Pattinson performance until I saw The Lighthouse, and his performance here is incredible. And I believe this was the indie film that he has done post-Twilight that made people take him more seriously as an actor. His Queen's accent worked greatly, and embodying his character traits made him completely disappear into the role, regardless of how much he seemed to care for his brother. And it does lead me to question, does he really care for his brother that much, or was he kind of using him? And just deep down, he's a terrible person. From how self-centered he is at taking advantage of people, he's arrogant, and he just has this self-importance about him. And the ending of the film was great, containing one of my favorite shots of the film, which has to zoom in on his face where he's in the back of a police car. where he realizes that he's an awful and pathetic human being, that he's done a lot of harm to those around him. And Pattinson just nailed that scene with his facial expressions. It's both a raw and nuanced performance that solidifies him as a true talent. Although this movie was unfortunately overlooked for award season, I would consider Robert Pattinson for a lead actor nomination. He was excellent. And he did get nominated for a Film Independent Spirit Award, which was great. And 2 years later, he gave another excellent but overlooked performance in The Lighthouse, which he was absolutely phenomenal, going up against Willem Dafoe. And with the great choices he has been making over the years post-Twilight, I believe Robert Pattinson will get nominated for an Oscar. Hell, he might even win one. It's always great to see him show his versatility, his different voices and accents. He's a terrific actor. In his Twilight days, long gone. He's left that behind. And I'm pleased that this role and the acclaim he got resurged him in more blockbuster movies such as Tenet, The Batman, which I thought he was an incredible Batman, and working with talented auteurs such as Robert Eggers, Christopher Nolan, Matt Reeves, Hayao Miyazaki, Bong Joon-ho. And it's such a treat to see him become an in-demand actor again. And I also not only want to give props to Benny Safdie's direction with Josh, but his performance as Nick was excellent. Despite only being in the film in the beginning and ending of the film, he still makes a strong impact. And it's very apparent watching the opening scene of the film where he's talking to a therapist, his acting just from his face, the voice, amazing job from him. And Benny Safdie would continue to act in supporting roles such as Licorice Pizza and Oppenheimer. And as for technical aspects, this is such a quick and tightly edited movie from scene to scene that's progressive and purposeful. And that just adds more to how full tilt this movie is. And the electronic and synthesized musical score for this film is amazing. And I don't remember who did the musical score for this film. I'll put them right here to give them credit. It's both memorable and enhances the intense scenes increasingly. As for any flaws I have with this movie, I do have one. Since this is such a well-paced movie, there is one section in the movie that did slow down a little bit, where they go to this one house with this teenage girl, and that part of the movie did slow down a little bit, just kind of waiting for the film to pick up again with its pacing. To sum up, Good Time is a rip-roaring and riveting thriller from start to finish. Thanks to fantastic direction from Benny and Josh Safdie and an incredible knockout performance from Robert Pattinson, who is relentless here. If you have seen Good Time before and want to rewatch this movie, please give it a rewatch. It still holds up. Or if you haven't seen this movie yet and want to watch it for the first time, I highly recommend it. And I would also recommend it if you loved Uncut Gems and haven't seen this movie. If you loved Uncut Gems and what the Safdie brothers did with that movie, I think you're going to love Good Time. Or if you want to see a great Robert Pattinson performance, you absolutely got it here. He is incredible here. This was one of my top 10 favorite films of 2017. It would be at number 9 between 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri at number 8 and The Big Sick at number 10. 2017 was a great year for film, and honestly, this is actually my favorite A24 film of 2017, even over Lady Bird and The Disaster Artist. And now to grade it, I'm going to give Good Time 4.5 stars out of 5. And A, I'm over the moon that this film put the Safdie brothers on the map as exciting indie directors. And again, they are masters at putting you on the edge of your seat with their anxiety-inducing filmmaking. And they would prove it again in a phenomenal follow-up, Uncut Gems, one of my top 5 favorite films of 2019 and a career best performance from Adam Sandler. Unfortunately, as someone who has been anticipating the Safdie brothers follow-up film to Uncut Gems together, I was bummed to hear last year that Benny and Josh Safdie split up and won't be directing movies together again, and they plan to pursue solo projects. Fortunately, it was an amicable split up, but it just still hurts knowing that they won't direct movies together again. But their solo projects, which are supposed to come out this year, both are released by A24, both sound very promising. Josh Safdie has Marty Supreme coming out with Timothée Chalamet, which has wrapped production recently. And Benny Safdie is doing a biographical MMA film, The Smashing Machine, with Dwayne Johnson. And that one is in post-production, and I believe that one could be a career best performance from Dwayne Johnson. I'm excited to see both movies and looking forward to seeing a trailer for both someday. And I do wish the best of luck to Benny and Josh Safdie. on their solo projects this year. So I would like to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Good Time if you've seen it? Do you agree, disagree with my review? Or if you haven't seen it, are you interested in seeing the film for the first time or not? Let me know down below. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie and want to see more reviews like this in the future? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here, and don't forget that notification bell for my next upload in the future. It really means a lot. My social media links are in the description down below. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you'd like to see my render reviews, I do have a letterbox, so if you'd like to follow me on there as well. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.